Hello, hello! Welcome back to Phenomena, Season 4, Episode 9, the penultimate episode, which means second to last of the season. There are 10 episodes every season. I'm your host, Mimi Dibbs, and you're watching Phenomena / listening to Phenomena podcast. Yeah, today we're going to be talking about the disappearance of Amelia Earhart. Ooh, yes. Like I mentioned at the end of last week's episode, I have been wondering about this since the Bermuda Triangle episode all the way back in season 1. It's pretty wild and crazy how so many things about this case are unsolved still to this day. The fact that, from my understanding, there's no wreckage. But to be honest, I don't really know that much about the case, which is why I put it on the list so that we could learn about it together. This script was written by our lovely script master, Ruben Hano. Yay, Ruben! Ruben is one of the 3 Phenomena CEOs. It is me, Jodelle, and Ruben. I truly could not have started this podcast without them, so huge shout out. Love you guys. And they both write scripts along with our other 2 script writers and our other co-producer / videographer, videographer / producer, video editor, Merrick's. Ruben, in the beginning when we started this podcast, was the lone script writer before I realized that writing a script a week was a lot because you have to research it and make sure that it's all within the same format and all that stuff. But Ruben still does a sweep through every script before it gets to me, seeing as I cold read for the episode, so that it makes sense for me to be able to continue to do that. So thank you so much, Ruben. But every now and then, Ruben writes the scripts like this one, and I'm so excited because they're such a good writer. I can't wait to learn more about Amelia Earhart. Yay! Without further ado, let's dive in. Picture this. It's July 2nd, 1937, the world's most famous woman pilot. She wasn't the first, but she was the most famous. Amelia Earhart is flying high over the Pacific Ocean, attempting to become the first woman to circumnavigate the globe. Yes, Amelia Earhart. I love that her name was Amelia Earhart. It's spelled like Earhart, but it's Earhart, and she did love the air. She did heart the air. So that checks out, I guess. I was also thinking Amelia, if Amelia Bedelia was Amelia Earhart, they would be like, Amelia, you should fly. And then Amelia Bedelia would probably figure out how to make wings and be like, is this good? Oh, Amelia Bedelia, you silly goose. Does anyone remember Eloise at the Plaza? Some people don't, and it shows. Okay, bring back Eloise at the Plaza. She was amazing. I love her. She raised me. Or better yet, I definitely used Eloise at the Plaza to get away with a lot of stuff. I'd be like, well, Eloise did it, but Eloise was a spoiled little kid, and I didn't realize that until much later in life. Anyway, back to Amelia Earhart. She'd previously crossed the Atlantic, flown from Hawaii to California, and become a global symbol of courage, brilliance, and pure determination. I wonder who the first man to circumnavigate the globe was, if there was one, via aircraft. I know that this was obviously in the 30s, albeit late 30s, but still in the 30s. So Amelia Earhart was definitely she was doing the damn thing before women could even vote. I'm pretty sure. Literally. When did women get the right to vote? I should know that. Never mind. I think it happened in the 20s, actually. The women's suffrage movement happened in the 20s. But I think it was way after that we actually ended up even getting any real rights. I think on paper, maybe, whatever. That's for another episode. But the fact that she's out here being a pilot, traditionally something viewed as not open to a woman, makes her so amazing. And what makes her disappearance even more mysterious and weird and suspicious. But somewhere near a tiny island in the middle of the Pacific, her voice crackles over the radio. We're running low on fuel. We're flying north and south. Oh no. Oh no. Moments later, silence. No distress call, no wreckage, no goodbyes. Earhart and her navigator, Fred Noonan, simply vanished. Hate that. Hate it. I feel like that's similar to the Titanic, how it like had distress signals out there. And then by the time that like any sister ships got there, it was basically all fully sunk. Like it happened so quickly. But like with this, we'll get more into it. But I'm pretty sure there's no like wreckage that was found, which is what makes it a phenomenon still to this day. It's wild. The fact that it just simply vanished. What do you mean? How? How does that happen? Back to last week's episode about parallel universes. Did she just like bloop into a new parallel universe? I don't know. What really happened to Amelia Earhart? Was it bad luck, a secret government cover-up, or something far stranger? Grab your goggles, because today we're flying into the mystery of one of the greatest disappearances in history. Mystery history. Ooh, okay, Dr. Seuss. No, I love it. That's crazy because I don't know that we've covered a lot of like straight up disappearances. We've covered some mysteries and some like unexplained foul play, but like no body was ever recovered from my understanding. So like, where'd she go? Where is she? Nobody knows. Quick pause for Phenomennouncement. Thought this was helpful to shout out Madison.Briggs. Her Instagram and TikTok is Madison, Madison .Briggs, Briggs. I follow her on TikTok and she's really awesome. She is a woman in STEM through and through. And I figured what better Phenomennouncement for the episode featuring the most famous woman pilot and first woman to circumnavigate the globe, had she succeeded, than a woman in STEM. Madison Briggs is awesome. She's released a lot of TikToks about how, like, explaining biochemical engineering, I believe. Let me just double check. She's a biomedical engineer. She shares a lot of just like really good knowledge in layman's terms from just a woman in STEM perspective about like biology and sciences. I've found it super helpful as not a woman in STEM myself to learn more by following her. And so I think everyone should follow her because she's awesome and she's not only out here doing the damn thing and being in STEM, but she also takes the time to teach the rest of us what she's doing and what she's learning. So I really appreciate that. Thanks, Madison. Back to the story. Getting into the lore. Amelia Earhart wasn't just a pilot. She was a phenomenon. Ooh, perfect. I'm glad we're talking about her then. She took her first flying lesson in 1921 at the age of 23 and was instantly hooked. Wow, that's really impressive. 23? I can't say that I don't even think your frontal cortex is fully developed at 23. How are you like gonna just be like, yeah, let me just fly this plane? Amaze. Within a few years, she was setting records and flying farther than most men of her time. Yes, queen. We love it. In 1928, promoters looking for a woman to cross the Atlantic found her. Ooh, why were they looking for a woman to cross the Atlantic? Who were these promoters? Promoters. So vague. Though she was a passenger on that flight, she became a celebrity, and she wasn't content to stay a passenger for long. Yes, Amelia. Amaze. She is the main character. We should all strive to be like Amelia. Don't stay in the passenger seat. Pilot that plane, bitch. Anyway, in 1932, she made her own solo flight across the Atlantic, battling mechanical failures, violent storms, and making an emergency landing in Ireland instead of Paris. It didn't matter. She'd done it. She was the first woman to cross the Atlantic alone. Yay, Amelia! Amazing. I love that. That's great. During this time, like in the 30s, early 30s, I can't imagine planes were that safe. Period. Like, I'm sure they were pretty rickety. I feel like they were pretty rickety until pretty late. So the fact that she even like got in there and was able to like cross the Atlantic, which is pretty big, last I checked, is amazing. That's incredible. The end. I'm kidding. I wish that's where it ended. Then she, went on to live a great life and grow old and whatnot. But unfortunately, it was not in the cards for Amelia Earhart. From there, she kept flying higher. In 1935, she became the first person, not just the first woman, to fly solo from Hawaii to the U.S. mainland. Yes, I love her. She's breaking records left and right. And I'm learning so much more about her, see, because I didn't know all of this other stuff that she did. I know she was a very impressive woman, and that's why we're talking about her today. Well, mainly because she disappeared under very mysterious circumstances, but also the fact that she was a very accomplished woman and pretty young. Like, she was just out here. She like, you know how like giraffes, when they like come out of the mom giraffe, they're like, all right, cool, let me scavenge for food, let's go. Where do I need to go? I feel like she was like that. She came out and she just was like full of life. And then here I am, barely able to get out of bed. It's a very different time, let me tell you. Later that year, she made the first solo trip from Los Angeles to Mexico City. I love that. She's just like, boom, boom, boom. And let me go here. And let me go here. Did anyone traverse this? No, boom. Done. Mark it in the books. But by 1937, Amelia wanted something bigger. She wanted to fly around the world. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that people didn't realize how big the globe was. Because, I mean, you make all these trips from Hawaii to the US mainland, from Los Angeles to Mexico City, and like you feel pretty good about it, right? You're like, yeah, okay, awesome. Let me just do that, but just like around the world. Around the world, around the world. Daft Punk. I feel like the globe is a whole other thing. Maybe start with half the globe. I don't know about the whole globe. At least she wasn't a flat earther, because she knew she wanted to fly around the earth, which you can only do if the earth is round. That's good. Just 10 years earlier, it had taken the U.S. Army 175 days, 4 planes, and a full support crew. And even then, only 2 of the 4 finished the journey. Amelia planned to do it with 1 plane, 1 navigator, and 1 goal, to be the first woman to circle the planet. I'm so sad she didn't get there. Aww. Her first attempt in March 1937 ended early. A ground loop crash in Hawaii damaged her plane. Oh no! She already crashed and then she just got up and did it again? Amazing. I can't say the same if it were me. I'd be like, well, the earth doesn't want me to go around it, so I guess I'll just stay at home and knit or find another hobby. I don't know, that doesn't involve crashing my plane or disappearing mysteriously. But Amelia was undeterred. Amelia's a different breed. She repaired the aircraft, a twin-engine Lockheed Model 10E Electra, and tried again just a few months later. Wow, she's the definition of if you at first you don't succeed, try and try again. She was determined. She kind of makes me feel bad about my accomplishments. I can't say I'm as determined. But you know what? We should all strive to be as determined as Amelia Earhart, okay? If nothing else, we can learn from her. She departed Miami on June 1st, 1937, after partying with the Miami locals. Just kidding. With navigator Fred Noonan. Their route would span nearly 29,000 miles with more than 30 planned stops. That's so long. Just to have the accolades? Again, she's very determined. I would have stopped at like the first 1,000 and been like, there, I did it. I did the first 1,000. Yay. 30 planned stops too. Wow. How long did they think that was going to take? By June 29th, okay, so they left on June 1st. By June 29th, they had reached their 31st stop in Lae, New Guinea, putting them within about 7,000 miles of the finish line. No, the fact that they were so close. They had done over 22,000 miles at that point. She should, I feel like we obviously know her name, so she should still go down in history for being the first woman to circumnavigate 22,000 miles. Their next refueling stop, Howland Island, a tiny speck of land in the Pacific. Wow, imagine like trying to like navigate that and being like, oh, there's this little tiny speck that we could probably stop to refuel. How did they know that they would have like jet fuel or fuel? I don't know that she took a jet. Or she take her private jet around? Whatever aircraft she had, the fuel for that, was it just like diesel? I don't know. What do you put in that? And how do you know that that's going to have it? I'd assume they probably like made phone calls, sent telegraphs. I don't know. What did they do in the 30s to like ensure that they could stop there? The U.S. Coast Guard ship USCG cutter Itasca was stationed nearby to help them navigate and refuel. Okay, good. On July 2nd, at about 7:42 a.m. local time, Earhart reported, "We are on the line 157 to 337, running north-south." It was her last transmission. No. So she was just like keeping people updated and then nothing. Despite a massive search effort ordered by President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the Navy scoured 250,000 square miles of ocean and spent more than $4 million in 1937 dollars. No confirmed wreckage of the plane or its crew was ever found. That's wild. That's crazy because what? I also wonder, like, she must have had connections to, I don't know, the army, or maybe just the fact that she was like such an accomplished woman made her able to get the support of like the president. And like, I don't know, I feel like back then there were a lot of records that were left to be broken. So she, I don't know, like, I'm trying to figure out like what she did. She contacted President Roosevelt and was like, yo, I'm gonna be the first woman to circumnavigate the globe. Okay, you ready? Because how else would they have known to like search for her? That's wild. Or maybe there was a lot of like press around it. I assume probably she would have alerted people of her trip, which is why so many people knew to look for her. On July 19th, 1937, the official search was called off. Earhart and Noonan were declared lost at sea. But that's never stopped the world from asking, what really happened? Yeah. Let's get into the theories. Over the decades, countless theories have emerged. Some are credible, others not so much. Theory number 1, the castaway theory, Nikumaroro Island. That sounds like a Pokemon. Nikumaroro. This is the most widely believed alternative to the crash and sink explanation. Oh yeah, wait, so last week I said that it was like they didn't find any wreckage or anything of her plane. I wonder if people have tried to look for it since then. And like now that we have better technology that can like sweep the floor. But since it's still something that is such a mystery, you would think that now that we have the tools to be able to like sweep the ground floor of the Atlantic or the Pacific, I don't know, one of them, I guess the Pacific, because yeah, she had made it across the Atlantic, but their refueling stop was Howland Island, a tiny speck of land in the Pacific. So I don't think we've found anything of hers, which we should have, right? Unless it like eroded somehow. Researchers believe Earhart and Noonan may have landed on Nikumaroro Island, a small uninhabited island in the Phoenix Group between Hawaii and Australia. Artifacts found there include a woman's shoe, a man's shoe, and indications of a campfire. Human remains were once discovered, though later lost. What do you mean? The chain of custody was broken? They couldn't keep track of the human remains that they found? It's uninhabited. That's weird. That's crazy. I don't like that. That is very castaway-y, though. Could Amelia have survived stranded only to die a castaway on an empty island? Man, that really brings the whole, like, if you were stranded on a desert island, like, what would you bring with you question into perspective? Because it's like, they were looking for her. Wouldn't you think they would have checked every island near where she said she was? She, like, gave coordinates, it sounds like. So you would think people searching for her would have checked all of these islands. How did they then later find these indications of people having been there? And like, how long after that? That's crazy. Theory number 2, the spy mission theory. One of the most popular conspiracies is that Amelia's around-the-world flight was actually a covert U.S. spy mission photographing Japan's bases before World War II. What? This sounds conspiracy-coded, okay? I don't know about that. Was she good at photographing? You can't just like, it sounds like she was really into airplanes. I don't know that she was also a secret spy. I feel like we would have uncovered that by now. In this version, she was discovered, captured on a Saipan, or elsewhere, interrogated and executed by Japanese forces. There's zero hard evidence for this. The biggest hole, Japan actually helped search for her after the disappearance. Yeah, that seems pretty thin in terms of credibility. That sounds very conspiratorial. And it sounds very like fear-mongery against Japan, which is bizarre. I don't know. Also, I like vaguely remember listening to like a true crime thing about how there was a Japanese captain or something that, I'm going to like butcher this, but he like had something to do with basically before he was like executed or like later in life, he had come clean and basically said that he had a role in it. And I guess that was like a big thing for the culture of Japan and like having honor in like, you know, after the war, if they had anything to do with it, you would think they would have come clean about it. I don't know. Maybe that's just assuming that they would feel bad about it. There's no evidence to suggest she was a spy or worked for the U.S. forces in any way. She was just like an independent navigator that just wanted to like break her own records and set her own goals. This feels random. Theory number 3, the Tokyo Rose theory. Oh, Tokyo Rose. Tokyo Ghoul? It's a great anime. Highly recommend it. An even wilder offshoot of the spy theory claims Earhart survived, was captured, and forced to become Tokyo Rose, the infamous propaganda broadcaster during World War II. Absolutely no evidence supports this, but hey, it's creative. Wow, that's a whole other thing. I've never heard of Tokyo Rose, but there's a propaganda broadcaster during World War II. That's crazy. Did people like think it sounded like her at all? Wow. This is what happens when people are left to their own devices and come up with their own theories. People just run wild with it. And finally, theory number 4, the alien abduction theory. And finally, the paranormal pick. Some say the Electra was intercepted by extraterrestrials. Maybe that last "we're flying north and south" was Amelia's final confused transmission as she was being pulled up to the mothership. Like, what? Yeah, wait, actually, I didn't even realize she said we're flying north and south. So you're standing still? What do you mean? You're flying north and south? You're just going in circles? What if that was, okay, another theory. What if that was her, like, you know, in like back rooms and stuff, the ones where you like open a door and then you go through a room and then you open the door and you're back in like where you first were when you opened the door. So like maybe she was like, we're flying north, but we're ending up south. And like, what if she was stuck in like a time loop, weird space of air? I don't know. I don't know what happened. I'm just throwing out my own theory. I guess this is how people get to the crazy theories. It's just being like, not enough information. So let's just like throw a theory and see what sticks. I don't know. I feel like that is pretty wild to just, nobody could decode what she meant by we're flying north and south. Here's hoping she's cruising the cosmos in a Lockheed Electra-shaped UFO with Chewbacca and R2-D2. Nice. Yeah, fully. Probably not the case, though. I'd assume the most, like, science-backed theory would be the whole it crashed and was lost at sea type thing. Although it's crazy how a lot of people next to the whole, like, lost at sea theory think that she was a castaway. That's just, like, random. But it is compelling that they found evidence on an island. My only thing is, like, why were so many people deployed to look for her? And then what, they didn't check every single island around there? I don't know. Maybe it was like a mix of things where it was like a plane crash and then she was somehow rescued by a ship, but then the ship like dropped her off only at the nearest land. And then, I don't know, stranger things have happened. So that's wild. I guess we're never meant to know because it's still a mystery. Nobody knows what happened. And she was the first woman to cross the Atlantic Ocean. So there is that. That's good. But unfortunately, she couldn't meet her goal. It was a very ambitious goal, to be fair. And she did make it 22,000 miles, which is a hell of a trek. In closing, most aviation historians agree on the simplest explanation. Amelia Earhart ran out of fuel and crashed into the Pacific Ocean near Howland Island. That sucks. That's so sad. Because it's like, yeah, I feel like a lot of the times it's these like stories that just don't have that great of an ending, or like where the most plausible theory is just like, oh, she ran out of fuel. She had so many stops, and you would think that her and her co-navigator would have made sure that they had enough fuel to get to the next refueling stop. But again, this whole like north-south thing, I wonder if they got stuck in some weird loop where they had to like turn around, or maybe they thought they like, I don't know. I would think that they got turned around somehow. They thought they passed it, so they turned around only to realize that they were going backwards. So then they had to turn around again, and all of that time is just wasting fuel in the air. And especially being in such a remote area where you can't just land somewhere. I don't know. Wouldn't you think you would have like, you would fuel up as much as possible? I don't know. Maybe there was like a really bad thunderstorm or something. Because I don't know. You would have thought that she was pretty experienced at that point. She'd already like broken a couple of records, and if, you know, so many people were involved, you would think they would have like double, triple checked her mission and that it made sense and that she was super prepared for what was to come. But man, that's wild. But the fact that nothing conclusive was ever found keeps the mystery alive. Yeah, again, I feel like I'm going to have to dig into this after this episode about whether or not anyone found anything or even looked for anything on the Pacific Ocean floor. Because what do you mean nothing was ever found? Where did it go? If not like an alternate dimension or like weirdly disappear like the Bermuda Triangle, even though it did not happen in the Bermuda Triangle like I thought it did. So that just means that there's multiple places in the ocean where weird stuff happens and all of a sudden things disappear and I don't like it. And the ocean is scary and it's really scary. I'll never go on a cruise. I don't like it. And I'll never fly over the ocean, but of course I will. It's the only way to get to other pieces of land. But nowadays, it's a lot safer than back in the 1930s, 1940s. Even now, expeditions continue the search. Okay, yeah, that was my question. Every new sonar ping, every satellite image, every rumor of debris reignites the question, could this be it? And yet the ocean keeps its secrets. I wonder if, like, what made the whole, like, a woman's shoe and a man's shoe and evidence of a campfire on that one island so compelling. Like, more compelling than any of the evidence. But I guess, yeah, if any wreckage is swallowed up by the ocean, water tends to erode a lot of, like, evidence that would have made it clear that it was hers. I don't know. I was like, what about her clothes or something? But maybe they were eaten by fish. Who knows? Maybe that's why her story endures. Amelia wasn't just flying toward a destination. She was flying toward an idea, a belief that limits are meant to be tested, that the horizon is never at the end of the map, only the beginning of another. Well, she definitely understood that the Earth is a globe, which is good. She would be very upset to find out that there are still flat earthers around, and that I wonder how flat earthers, like, do they have to discount that Amelia Earhart ever did this journey at all because it wouldn't make sense with the flat earth theory, or they would just think she, like, went in a straight line as opposed to, like, on a curve? I don't know. I don't think flat earthers are thinking about anything other than how to prove their point by any means necessary, to be honest, even if that means suppressing evidence. And I say that because back to the whole, y'all should definitely watch Beyond the Curve. It's a crazy documentary about flat earthers, and it talks about how, like, toward the end, they literally prove themselves wrong, but then they're like, no, we can't take this to the board. They're gonna, like, laugh us off the stage. And it's like, okay, but if it depends, are you in pursuit of the truth, or are you in pursuit of bias evidence that is only gonna prove what your community thinks is true? I don't know. Maybe we'll never find the wreckage. Maybe we're not supposed to. Yeah, at this point, if we haven't yet, I don't think we're ever going to. And that's what makes me wonder about, like, alternate, like, she was, like, blooped into an alternate dimension. But I guess the alien abduction theory kind of makes sense in that regard. Or maybe there was, like, a weird space, like a rip in space-time that she just, like, went into. I don't know. These are all the theories that have any sort of, like, backing by people, but man, it is so obscure. Maybe Amelia Earhart's final flight wasn't about reaching the end. It was about proving there's always more sky to fly. Yeah, I wonder if all of the sky has been flown at this point. You know what I mean? With all the planes that go in the air nowadays, like, you would think every bit of sky would have been navigated at this point, or mapped, I guess. That's crazy, though, because, like, I don't know, as, like, a young aviation enthusiast, you, like, imagine looking up to Amelia Earhart and then realizing that she just disappeared. Is it a cautionary tale to people to ensure that you do all of your calculations, you double, triple check all the calculations to make sure you don't run out of fuel, make sure that, especially if you're flying across such a large stretch of sea, like, obviously now I don't think that would be a problem, but, like, I just can't imagine that people were chomping at the bit to try this again after figuring this out, after finding out that Amelia's whole plane, along with her and her co-pilot, were just never found. Like, I wonder if that, you know, people took that as, like, I don't know, like, divine intervention, that maybe we should chill. Maybe we should chill on going in the air for a little bit, at least, because I don't know how you would just go back out in the air after learning about that. That sounds really scary. I don't know that I ever need to worry about that because I'm not trying to fly a plane, thankfully. But one of my good friends, Journey, and her husband, they just recently got married, are both have their piloting license. And it's crazy because I'm like, what do you mean? You're just gonna pilot a plane alone by yourself? Like, it's scary enough to potentially crash into land, but to crash into the ocean is far worse, especially because there's such a long stretch where there's nothing but, like, tiny specks of land, and you have to, like, really pinpoint exactly where you're gonna land. I don't know. I don't like it. It's a whole realm that I am not familiar with, and I'd like to keep that way. I will only be flying commercial and our private Phenomena jet when we make jet money. Just kidding. I, for one, am making the pledge that I will never be a billionaire. Once I make it to $999,999,999, I think I'll be good. I think I'll be good. I think I just give the rest away. Pretty sure anyone is fine doing that. I don't think anyone needs $1 billion. If anything, maybe I'll like rent a jet every now and then. Because like, I don't want to buy a jet. Where am I going to keep the jet? That's like a cruise, not cruise. That's like a boat. I feel like now we're starting to get into the whole like, why buy a boat when you can just rent it? You know, I think it makes more sense. Quick reminders, we have an Expedia affiliate link, expedia.com/affiliate/phenomena/season 4. Ooh, this is the second to last time episode where we're going to mention the season 4 link before we unveil the season 5 link. Book your next trip around the world. Book your next trip in which you will probably have to take an aircraft that is far more likely to get you to your destination than the aircraft that Amelia Earhart took. So that's good. You can rest easy knowing that you won't really ever have to worry about being in like a rickety plane like that. Just good. Ooh, pokepic for this week's episode. I've been wondering like what pokepic. I figured it was going to be a flying type, but other than that, it's like, who do you even choose? There's so many. Pokepic for this week's episode is Braviary. Yes, Braviary, the valiant Pokemon. Pokedex entry. Known as the hero of the skies. I love that. This Pokemon is so proud and so brave. Oh my God, so proud and so brave and so amazing and so lovely and so smart that it will never retreat even when it's injured. Wow. Yeah. It reminds me of like a bald eagle, very American. I feel like that's like Amelia Earhart was like, she's usually mentioned in history books as like a very like American figure, right? I mean, even though she flew like around, she was like an American icon. So that makes sense. And she was also very brave and definitely didn't retreat even in the face of crashing her plane 1 or 2 times, which is wild. She was nothing if not determined toward her goals. I think that makes sense. Braviary. Braviary is cool. I wonder if we're going to see Braviary in the new Pokemon Legends Z to A game because I haven't seen one yet, but Braviary is wild. And it's so cute. Rufflet, I think, is the one that is its version before Braviary, and it's so cute. It's so small, and it's got such a big floofy head. I love it. Cool, great pokepic. Yay! We have an email, phenomena.cases@gmail.com. I was like, is it dot or is it dash? I even forget. No, it's dot. Phenomena.cases@gmail.com. Feel free to email us your personal phenomena stories. Have you ever been on a sketchy plane? I don't know. Or do you maybe have some ties, ancestral ties to Amelia Earhart? Or do you yourself, have you ever flown a plane and know how hard it is? Because I haven't, and I would like to hear about it. Either way, I wonder, there's probably some weird phenomena that happens in the skies that we haven't covered, like lightning sprites. I wonder if Amelia Earhart ever saw lightning sprite, or like where they go that high at that level of aviation yet? I don't know. We also have a Patreon where you can show your support. We have a $2 tier, $5 tier, and a free tier. With the free tier, as well as all the other tiers, we have a Discord pinned to the top of the Patreon, so check it out. Feel free to join our Discord. We talk about the pokepic for every episode on both Patreon and Discord, as well as my favorite GIF for every episode. And because, on the video podcast version, I add GIFs to the screen to further my points. And so I usually have a favorite one. And I feel like it's going to probably be one from Tokyo Ghoul because I love that anime so much. It's so good. I watched it that first time I got COVID ever. And the first season's really good. The second season is like kind of good. And then it kind of falls off from there. But first season is goated. Highly recommend. And then for the paid tiers on Patreon, we also upload an extra reel on there, as well as the audio version of the podcast. The paid Patreon members also get other perks, like seeing the Phenomena Seance episodes 1 week before they drop as public on the Patreon and YouTube. There's some other great reasons to join the paid Patreon, aside from just supporting Phenomena as your favorite podcast. Check it out and at least join the free one because we talk about pretty cool stuff on there. We also have new episodes that come out every Wednesday at or around 6 p.m. PST. I've been a little bit late to uploading them lately. Sorry, lots been going on. At or around 6 p.m. PST. And next time on Phenomena, we'll be talking about lucid dreaming, which I don't think I've ever done, but I know it's going to be a topic where people are going to be like, I've lucid dreamed before. And I've even seen like apps that are like, how to train your brain to lucid dream and like keep a dream journal. And then eventually you're going to be able to like control what happens in your dreams. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like lucid dreaming to me is like being awake while you're dreaming, which to me takes away the point of resting. Like, I don't want to be awake. It's like, Jesus, take the wheel. Dreams, take the wheel. Just paint whatever it is that will help me understand what I've witnessed the past couple of days and then move on, you know? But it would be cool to be able to like fly and like have kind of boundless, like being able to make things happen in a dream would be cool, because I've never been able to do that. But I feel like it'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting episode next week. I believe Jodelle is writing that one, and it'll be the last episode of season 4. So check it out. And remember, you can always explore the rabbit hole without falling all the way down and never to be found again, potentially in the Pacific Ocean, and you lose signal, and then even though everyone goes and tries to find you down the rabbit hole, they can't, because no one can find where the wreckage is. And some people have theories as to what happened to you, but then, yeah, just tether yourself to reality, please, so that you don't go missing like Amelia Earhart. See you next week. Bye.